All right, so before I jump back in, we just have those couple pages of 1C to finish. I wanted to see what questions people had. So we've got that practice quiz due today, right? So you want to make sure that you get that done before midnight. It should be at midnight. Let me just make sure the setting is correct in my math lab. Quizzes are always due at 11:59 p.m. Tests, however, are due earlier in the day because it lines up with when the Foundational Math Center closes.
We take our test at the campus, right?
Yes. So Kaylee, for you, you can do it on the Libby campus.
Mm-hmm.
You'll just have to make an appointment with Janet or Seth, right? Two people.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll want to make sure that you do that there. And the quizzes or the tests, they close at 5 p.m.
Okay.
Because Melissa and Brittany, you all are out of area, right? Yeah. So we need to talk about setting up a proctor for when it's time for you to take your tests.
We have one in mind. She did our math placement test.
Perfect.
Here at our work, actually.
Okay, perfect. So that means, so were you talking to Grace or Clinton when you did your placement exam?
Yes, both. I think each one of us had one of them. So
like people discuss things. So then just go ahead and email Grace and she can help make sure that we get that set up again with that proctor.
Okay.
And then Brittany so Melissa, you had asked for the binder to be shipped to you. Brittany, I don't think you told me that.
I got mine. You said you were gonna mail me mine.
I haven't got your address.
What?
I don't have an address for you, but I didn't know to have one shipped to you.
Oh, okay. I'll email you my address if that works.
Perfect. And we'll get that going. In the meantime, have you been able to access the stuff on Eagle Online? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Perfect. So checking on the settings for the practice quiz, it is due tonight at 11:59 p.m. So we're good. So everybody just needs to have that done by then. And then remember, you need to scan and upload a copy of your written work and submit it to the practice quiz assignment box in Eagle Online. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that aspect?
This morning and do the practice quiz, and I know you showed us yesterday where it was at, but is it already uploaded? This is at 8 o'clock this morning, so maybe it wasn't yet. Okay.
Is what uploaded?
Never mind, my classmate can help me.
Okay, I didn't know what you meant by is it already uploaded?
One of my classmates will help me. It's fine.
Okay, well, I'm happy to go through it if you need me to show you something. Okay.
Okay.
I think she just needs to go into my math lab and not the like the Eagle Online. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Dawn, email me if you talk to Kaylee and you can't find it. Okay, let's get back to our notes. So as you can see here, we've got the chart we have here is a type of bar graph, but it's called a stacked bar graph because the whole bar represents an amount, and then within it we've got individual pieces. And so we've got, this is from 2012, 2013 from the College Board. It has to do with trends in college pricing. Yes, I know this is like 10 years ago, but again, overall, these types of trends don't change in terms of that the public two-year community college, like FVCC, is going to be your most economical choice. Then we got your public four-year in-state on campus. So when we're reading this, we can see that total tuition is 15,584, or total money spent, I should say, because then it's broken up into different bits. So dark blue has to do with tuition and fees. Light blue is room and board. Now, for somebody who doesn't live on campus, this is what you're paying for rent at home, right? The red is other expenses, the yellow is books and supplies, and green is transportation. So you can see, depending on what type of university, the tuition and fees considerably varies. So does room and board, but there's other areas that don't necessarily vary as much. So number one says, which cost category varies the most among the different types of institutions and by how much? And so when I say varies the most, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the highest and the lowest and subtract them. So if we think about what type of category varies the most, I think we can tell that it's tuition and fees, right? Big blue versus little blue, dark blue, I should say. And so the most would be 29,056. The least is going to be 3,131. And when we find the difference between those, it's a difference of $25,925. So a private nonprofit four-year on campus, that would be like if you went in Montana to Carroll College, that would be like a private institution that they're talking about versus, like I said, public two-year commuter would be like FVCC. And then it says which cost category varies the least among the different types of institutions. And then by how much. I want you to go ahead and answer that one on your own and send me a direct message for what you think. Okay, so when I look at this, I think there's some categories we can easily exclude from the statement of like which ones vary the least. Clearly, the dark blue tuition and fees, we can exclude that because it very obviously varies a lot because of the size of the bars, right? Even the light blue room and board, we can go from 10,000 down to 7,000. 10,000 at the private, 7,000 at the public 2-year. But then once we get into the red, yellow, and green, it starts to get a little murky as to which one is going to be the closest. So for red is other expenses. And if we look at this, the lowest we have for red is 1,200 and the highest is 1,244. So that's only a difference of $44. And so why would those be the same or very close to the same? What do we think? It's pretty much stuff that everybody
need-
pays, right?
Yeah, you need the same stuff, no
Yeah,
matter
it's
what.
probably gonna be the same stuff. Another one that's really close to each other would be books and supplies. Your variation there from $957 up to $1,648. That one is pretty close, but why would you think this is kind of an interesting idea? Books and supplies are more at a public 2-year community college than they are at a private nonprofit 4-year on campus. So what could be the difference for that not decreasing over time? So this kind of leads, I'm asking these questions, I'm kind of jumping ahead. But number 3 says ignoring the other expenses category, the general trend is for all the categories to cost more as you look down the chart from 2-year public to 4-year private. Again, how one category is an exception, and which category is that? And like I said, it's books and supplies, and also there's another category that's different too, that's not getting smaller as we go down. And what's that one?
Transportation.
Transportation. So why would transportation cost more at a public 2-year commuter college than a private college?
Well, you're living on campus in the private college, and also I assume since it's private and nonprofit, they have more inclusive things. So you're really having to travel a lot less to get the items you need and to go to school itself.
Yeah, like the private on campus, you're going to be living on campus, so you're going to have to not travel as far, right? Versus commuter, you are paying more, but overall, the overall cost is still far less, right? So just because certain areas go up doesn't necessarily mean if it goes up that it's a terrible deal. So, all right. CO2 emissions. So this is a 3-dimensional bar graph. And the reason why we have it 3 dimensions is because it's measuring 3 different things, meaning we've got our time across the front. Across the top vertically has the billions of metric tons of CO2. And then we have going backwards the countries. And so however you measure this, you want to be consistent, okay? So I tend to try to draw a line and measure it from the front if you can, right? So we would go and be parallel to the back, but what you're measuring it is where it hits this front line, if that makes sense. So it says the graph shows true 3-dimensional data. The 3 dimensions are countries, their total carbon dioxide emissions, and time. And this comes from the US Department of Energy. And it says, based on the graph, when did China surpass Russia in total carbon dioxide emissions? So China is in yellow and Russia is in light blue. So around what period of time does it look like yellow got bigger than light blue?
1995.
Yeah, so somewhere in this range here between 1990 and 1995. In 1990, we see that Russia's higher, right? And then by 1995, they are lower and China has continued growing, right? And by approximately what percentage did US emissions increase between 1990 and 2010? So here's what I'm talking about being consistent in how we measure. So the United States is at the back. So if I draw a line with the bar from 1990, I can see that the bar hits right here. So if I draw that line to line up over here, what I'm doing is drawing a parallel line, right? So where it hits in the back, I'm coming to the front to see how to measure that. And it looks like it's about halfway between 4 and 5, right? So 1990 was about 4.5 billion. Then 2010 is way down here. And we can see it's like right in this area. So if we draw the line horizontally over, and then when we hit here, we're going to turn and keep going horizontally until we are almost up at the top of 5, right? So that's looking about 5 point, I don't know, what do we think? 5.8 billion? So it says, what percentage did it increase by? So we want to find the difference. We're going to do the two numbers subtracted from each other as compared to the original value. So you're finding the difference as compared to the starting amount, and then we have to multiply this by 100 in order to convert it to a percentage. So 5.8 minus 4.5 is going to give us 1.3 over 4.5. And when we divide that, we get 0.28 with the 8 repeating. Multiplying by 100 is going to give us 28.8 repeating. So in your homework, it's going to ask you to find these percentages, and then it'll tell you to round like the nearest 10th, the nearest 100th. Make sure you first convert it to a percent before you round it. So this is going to be approximately 28.9% is what it increased by. Okay, so I want you to see what I did with the United States, and I know I'm kind of blown out here, but now look at China. And again, I'm measuring from the front of the bar. Or if you measure from the back of the bar, that's fine. You just have to be consistent. I think it's better to measure from the front of the bar though. So from China, we're looking at 1990 and 2010. So we're looking at this point right here and this point right there. So I want you to think about what those values are, find the difference. Again, you're comparing the difference to the original amount, and then send me your answer in a direct message. Do you need me, Brittany, do you need me to blow it up so you can see it better? Now we can only be so accurate with this drawing, right? Because we've got perspective happening, but it's giving us an overall idea of the trend, okay? So just do your best.
So I have a question about the time periods on the
Sure.
graph.
Yeah,
Since the bars themselves are not on the lines, so I don't know if you can understand what I'm saying, but
oh
you know,
yeah,
like the little tick marks where it says 1990. Since those bars are not directly over that, is it saying that these bars account for the 5-year gaps in between? So from 1990 to 1995?
yes.
Okay.
To be fair, this graph is very problematic. There's a lot of things that are weird about it, right? So it's
Mhm.
saying it's not that it's adjusting for the 5 years in between, it's that they're saying they did a pull of data on 1990, like January 1st, 1990. And then they
Okay.
pulled the data January 1st, 1995. Then they pulled the
Okay.
data January 1st, 2000. So it's 5 distinct time periods that they would
Okay.
have pulled the data from. We
All
can
right.
say in those 5 years between when they're pulling the data, there is obviously a change that's happening that we would expect there to be a curve of those values going up, and maybe there might have been a slight dip or whatever. Yeah, the graph is more so meant to give us an overall idea of what was going on. It's hard to be super accurate with it.
Okay.
We're thinking about how can I check the reasonableness of my answer. If we take, now I can do this on my drawing because of the fact that I have an iPad and you can't do this. However, if I take this and I bring it over here, so I've outlined what that amount was, right? And I put 1 on the yellow bar. Okay, so now let's copy and paste 1 and paste 1. So you can see that it's accounting for a little more. So there's the original amount right here, right? This one right here is the original. Oops. Okay, so we can see above that there's 1, 2 plus a bit, right? which means it's over 200% of an increase. Because we're seeing it be, you've got your original amount plus 2 more of those plus a little bit. So we would expect for our answer to be somewhere above 200%. Now, again, this is open to interpretation. So I don't want you to think, oh, I didn't get the exact numbers that Aaron did. My answer is wrong. Again, I'm looking for something over 200% because it's hard to be super accurate with measuring this. So when I look at the amount in 1990, I'm going to say it's about 1.8 or 1.9 billion, somewhere in there. When I look at the amount in 2010, again, I can even draw a line straight. It's coming over here, and then we're coming down here, and that looks about 6.1 to 6.2 billion. So I'm going to do 6.1 minus 1.8 over 1.8, and 6.1 minus 1.8 is going to be 4.3 over 1.8. When I divide that, I get 2.38 repeating. So when I multiply it by 100, I get 238.9%. Like I said, over 200%. And we can even see that this piece could be about a third of one of those bars. It could be half. Again, it's all about what values you're using. So I would expect you to have something close to 2 for the first time period, a little over 6 for the second time period. So then when you're finding the difference, you've got about 200, a little over 200%. So remember, when you're calculating this change, you're going to find the difference, but then you need to divide it by the original. Okay, because if you're not dividing it by the original, you're not comparing it to what the starting point is. So when we're looking at percent change, let me find a spot. So you've got the end minus the original over the original times 100. So that's how we're looking at percent increase, percent decrease, because it's always referencing back to a starting point. So original, or you can also think of this as the starting point or the starting value. And this calculation of percent change, we're going to do this a lot. So this is not the last time you're going to see it. It's going to come back around. So again, you're going to want to take your ending results minus your starting results compared to your starting result, meaning divided by it. So if your answer is positive, that's a percent increase. If your answer is negative, that's a percent decrease. Okay. Okay, so if we go down to our questions, it says, based on these estimates, approximately when did China overtake the US as the leading emitter? And when we look at it, like you were saying, Kylie, like these are specific times, but there's clearly a time continuum in between there. So we would be able to say that it happened sometime between what 2 years?
2005 and 2010.
Yeah, so somewhere in here. That's not a good color. Hold on. We'll go with purple. Sometime in here, we can see that the yellow becomes taller than the orange, right? And that sometime happens between 2005 and 2010. All right, what's my last question? Oh, it says, which country has not seen a steady increase in CO2 emissions since 1990? Who's been keeping it
Japan.
tight? Yeah, Japan. Like, nope, we're not going to increase these. So that is my spiel. That's all we had left to do for 2C. Or not 2C, excuse me, 1C. 1D had to do with making graphs. And I'll send an email out to everybody to remind them of this. So we're gonna do some more graph making stuff in, so more Google Sheet stuff in class tomorrow. So let me import those so we can look at them. So skipping the first page, going to the second page, we're going to be creating a histogram. So this layout here, you will need to make that before we come to class tomorrow. Now, again, all I'm expecting is that you just have the layout done. I don't expect you to actually do any of the calculations. I'm going to walk you through those calculations. If you want, you can pre-watch the videos. Again, in Unit 1 in Eagle Online, you go to 1D, and there are 2 Google Sheet videos there that you can watch that are going to have to do with what I'm going to do tomorrow. So on page 16, we've got this layout. And on the second page, we've got the pie chart layout. Brittany, you can find the PDFs of the notebook sheets in Eagle Online, so you can at least like pull that up to view it to be able to then create the Google Sheet for it, okay? So questions about what you need to have done for lecture tomorrow?
So you said we just have to set up the 1D before tomorrow, right?
Yeah, so you just have these 2 that you need to set up, the histogram one and the pie chart one, just
Okay.
this right here. And you just have to have them set up for tomorrow. I'm not expecting you to do it. We're going to do it together, or at least I'm going to lead you through it. If you choose to complete it while I'm going through it, you can, or you can wait and do it after the fact. That's fine. Or you can even do it beforehand. We just need to have those ready for class tomorrow. Okay. Other questions? Okay. Don't forget to do your quiz tonight, okay? Or now, just at some point, it needs to be done. And don't forget to upload your work so that if you get anything wrong or you accidentally enter something wrong, I can see what you meant to put in and I can give you credit for it, okay?
When we take our quizzes, can we walk away from them like we can our worksheets? Or do we have to do them all in one sitting?
Yes, you have to do it all in one sitting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna start looking at it like last night, and I was thinking, I don't know that I can come back to this if I hit start and look at the question.
Yeah, no, the expectation is that you do it all in one sitting, because if you exit it, it won't let you back into it. So yeah, you do have to sit and do it all in one thing, but it shouldn't take you that long. We try to time them so they take about half hour, but we give you an hour to do it. How many questions are there? That is a good question. Let me look if I can see if I can pull that up. There are 18 questions on it. But some of them are like, there's an honor statement that says like, I'm not gonna cheat. There's a couple that just have questions that are referencing the syllabus. So like, it's not like I have 18 questions that I have to solve. It's more, let me see if I. There's 12 questions you'll have to solve of the 18. Okay. And the questions for the most part are going to have to do with the stuff that we went over in 1A, and other stuff that is kind of like prereq material. I don't want you to feel frustrated or upset with yourself if you don't do well. It just gives me an idea of some stuff that I'm gonna have to make sure I reteach or spend some extra time on in the future to make sure we build up the base for everyone. So it's not graded. The practice quiz, you're just gonna get a grade on completion, not on accuracy. Because again, we're practicing, you're just taking it for the first time, you're learning how the system works, you're learning the process of turning your work in and all that business. In the future, your quizzes will be graded on accuracy. But I do drop your lowest quiz score. So if you have one quiz that life didn't go well and you don't do well, I don't want you to stress about it. I do always drop your lowest quiz score, but the practice quiz doesn't count towards that. Yes, you will know, because I'm gonna grade your written work. Like I'm still gonna grade them in terms of like review it and give you points back, and then I'll write a score at the top of your written work. And I'll go over how you review that tomorrow. I'm hoping I can get those graded before class tomorrow, but let's see. I'll do my best. So, any other questions? All right, everyone. Well, I will let you go. I don't want to take up any more of your time, and I will see you all tomorrow, okay?
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Thanks.